Uhuru comrades, my name is Ann Hirsch, and I'm the president of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement branch in Seattle, Washington. I met the movement back in 2000. I worked on the campaign called Citizens United for Shared Prosperity that carried forward after the chairman's mayoral campaign in St. Petersburg, his platform of economic development for the African community and an end to police containment of the African community. So that's how I first met the movement. Then I joined USM. I volunteered at the furniture store. I volunteered at the Uhuru Foods booth at the St. Petersburg market. And I participated in USM. Then around the year, when was that? Around the year 2000, I moved away and I moved to Seattle. And so for a few years, I was not directly involved. I was still paying reparations to some of the programs of the Uhuru movement, but I wasn't directly involved. And then in 2014, Michael Brown was shot and killed by the police, left laying in the road. Eric Gardner was choked to death by the police. A few years prior, Trayvon Martin had been killed by a vigilante. So when Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson, there was African resistance. And that resistance, seeing that resistance, woke me up. And I could no longer sit on the sidelines. I said I have to be actively involved. So I knew who to call. I called the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And I began working to build a branch here. So this is the first time in the history of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement that a branch has been built in a place where there was no active IMPEDUM or African People's Socialist Party or APDEP. So I wondered how that would be accomplished. And many of you who are listening to this may be coming from areas, and we hope that you are, where we don't already have full organization. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what it took to make this happen in Seattle. But I want to reassure you that the Uhuru movement has everything you need to build a branch. African internationalism, the theory of the Uhuru movement that informs us that our nation was built by killing the native peoples, stealing their land, enslaving Africans, forcing them to work to build the capital that started capitalism and the Industrial Revolution and created our lifestyle. So African internationalism gives us that theory and says that we owe reparations, which is the only honest stance, as far as I'm concerned, that we can take as white people. So we have that analysis and that understanding from the party, and then we have a revolutionary structure that the party has used for over 45 years to create fabulous institutions on the ground, physically and socially, political organizations that have stood the test of time. So you can trust that you have the tools and the protocols that have been used before and that you can use them to be effective in building a branch. You also have the African People's Solidarity Committee and those committed cadre who have committed their life and their work to this revolution, and they will lead you and support you and train you in what you need to know. And then you will be armed with your own persistence. So it's African internationalism that had me persist in the face of various challenges and failures along the way. But I knew that I could never give up. If one more young black person, older black person, if one more black person was going to be killed by the police, how could I sit back and give up? So I began first going out a couple of times a month, setting up a table and talking to people, selling the burning spear, talking to people about reparations, talking to them about whatever national campaign was happening. Eventually I began to have a monthly meeting, not every month, but I would create an event, make flyers. Well, Jesse Neville would make the flyers for me, and I would take the flyers and put them out at coffee shops, health food stores, wherever I could find a place to post them. I posted them on telephone poles in the university districts, in Fremont, which is a place where people walk a lot, shopping area where there's a lot of walking. So I posted them there. I put flyers out on cars when there were big events happening. I went and did tabling outside of farmers markets, on the beach walk here. I went to demonstrations, and Jesse designed a banner for me, and so I was the sole person walking in the demonstrations with the reparations banner. But I'll tell you, people read it. African people read it and gave me the thumbs up. White people read it and, tried to comprehend, I guess. Got to see the word reparations and Uhuru solidarity and African liberation. So we began to get the line out here in Seattle. I also began to go to various events that other organizations were holding to see if I could get people interested in what we were doing. So it took about 2 years. Halfway through that process, a young woman joined me, and for about 3 or 4 months we worked together. She had seen USM online and gone to a convention, and she came back and she worked with me for a while, but sometimes we would raise $2 or $3, sometimes we would have an event and one person would come, and I believe that was a little disconcerting for her because she didn't have enough experience with the Uhuru movement to realize that this takes persistence and it doesn't happen overnight. And so I want all of you who are out there who may be new to this movement to understand that we were able to do this in Seattle. Within the next year, another comrade, Marion Galvin, joined, and then Janet Van Fleet joined, and then Anthony and Jesse Call, who are both there at your conference. Anthony had been in touch with APSC, and they came out and started tabling with me. And the two of them and myself have really been the backbone of the organization, so I really want to shout out to them. They've been tabling with me every week since they met me, and we've been raising reparations. We had our team, the three of us, Janet Van Fleet, Marion Galvin, and we put together an event. We brought Hardosha Bentham, who's there with you, and Penny Hess, who's there with you this weekend. And they came, and we had 70 people at that event. We raised about $2,000, and we now have somewhere between 16 and 19 members of our organization here. We formed an executive committee. We have 5 people on that executive committee. We're meeting once a week, and now I have help. When I go out to tables, there's a team of us. It's exciting. It's motivating to be with the comrades. I have help to do all the work that I was doing on my own. Now I have other people helping, and so that's just going to multiply who we can reach and how much work we can get done. So that's the story. I wish you the best as you begin your work to build a branch in your area. And I've told Jesse and USM that I'm happy to talk to anyone. I can be a resource. I know I would call Jesse at all hours of the day and ask for help and support, and I'm happy to be that for other people who are starting to build a branch, to do the work to build a branch. Uhuru, I wish you the best, and never give up. African internationalism, African liberation is what is going to set all of us free. It's going to set white people free from this horrible existence on top of the pedestal, and it's going to set African and indigenous people free from the horrible oppression that they've been experiencing. So this is a positive and uplifting organization with a true vision for the future. Uhuru.